Now, I don't know if you were watching last week, but Nintendo had a Direct, and during the course of that Direct, they talked about Hitman 3 and Control coming to the Switch. Now, those two games, Hitman 3 and Control, are very graphically intensive, so the Switch may well have problems with them. And Nintendo are obviously thinking the same thing because they've come up with a way around that. And what they're going to do is they're going to make the games available via streaming. Now, I've had some experience with streaming with the Nintendo Switch already, because about 18 months ago, when they released Resident Evil Biohazard as a streaming option in Japan, I actually set up a Japanese account and went in to have a look at it, and ran into all sorts of problems with the streaming quality and all the rest of it. It wasn't a good experience. And in fact, it was by far the worst streaming experience I've ever had with a video game. So that didn't fill me with confidence when I heard that Hitman and Control were coming via streaming. But I thought, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and I'll go and try it. So as you can see here, I've got Control up. I've already downloaded it. Now, the way you go and download it, you would go into the eShop, and I actually found that I had to go and do a search for it because I couldn't find it among the listings. So if you go into Discover, recent releases, current offers, charts and all the rest of it, I couldn't find it. So I had to do a search. Couldn't find Hitman 3 at all, but then Hitman 3 is not available yet, so it will arrive at a later date. If we go into Control, though, I had to do a search, as I've already said. And you go in and you do Control, and you will have it come up. And as you can see here, it says Control Ultimate Edition Cloud version. Now that it contains all of the DLC that is available, so that's okay. I'm not going to get into all the issues with the next generation consoles and what's happened with Control there. That's an argument for another day, but that did annoy me. At least on the Switch, you'll get in the all the various options. Didn't pay to be an early adopter now, did it? And as you can see here, it says Ultimate Edition, Foundation and Ore are included. One great value package, and so on and so forth. And what happens is you would download this app, in effect, that allows you to stream the game. And if we go back to the desktop, you can see it there. Now, what it does is it gives you the option to stream it twice. You've got, two windows to stream it in, and each of those windows is 5 or 10 minutes, something like that, which with a game like Control doesn't really give you any idea of how well the streaming's gonna go, or whether you really like the game. So it's a bit of a wasted opportunity there, and I don't understand making it so short. A game like Control's really long, or relatively long. There's a lot happens in it. With the amount of time they gave us, well, you don't get past the janitor. So there's no shooting, no combat whatsoever. You don't get to see any of the enemies. You don't get any real idea of whether it's any good. But anyway, look, I went into it as I'm doing here. Now I'm going to have to splice in some footage because I actually started recording this earlier, and I've wasted my two options now, and now of course it won't let me do it again. So as you see here, it says press any button to continue, and then it takes ages to load. But while it's doing that, let's just go through some of the things I've got problems with here, besides the streaming itself, which we'll get into. Nintendo has a bad track record when it comes to online services. Anyone who's used the Switch and subscribed to their online service knows that it's terrible, and it's not really value for money, even though it's cheap. In this instance, it is a case of you get what you pay for, because their online service is terrible. As I've already said, Resident Evil streaming, in my experience, was terrible too. And then on top of that, these games, we're getting this demo here, but these games, they're expecting you to pay for them, much like with Stadia, where they're expecting you to pay for the game rather than, see if I can go into this, rather than actually going in and having a service like xCloud or PlayStation Now, or, well, GeForce Now is a bit different, but those services that you pay a flat fee and then you get a whole raft of games, This is more like Stadia's model, where if you want to play a game that's going to be streamed, you have to pay for the game. And as I say, with Nintendo's track record, with their online service, and then if you look at their virtual console, every time you go and you buy a game on the virtual console and they go and then release a new console, those games are only available on the console that you bought them on. You can't transfer them over to the new console. So it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that moving forward, if we go into another generation with Nintendo, any of these games are going to necessarily be available to us. Maybe we'll have to buy them again on the new console, even though we're streaming them, and there should be no reason for that. It's much the same, as I said before, as it is with Stadia. Stadia could stop, streaming games. They could decide they're not interested in that side of the industry anymore, and you're gone. You've lost your games. And I know some people have argued that that's not the case, but we don't know. Stadia hasn't made it clear what will happen there. And Nintendo, as I say, in some ways it's worse because we know their track record. We know that they want us to keep buying the games again and again and again. And with streaming, you've got no control over it. It's not like you've even got a version of the game anymore, because if they decide to stop streaming, it's gone. Completely, utterly gone. As you can see here, though, the first thing I noticed is if you go over to the far left-hand side, it says 30th of the 10th, 2020, resolved the waiting queue issue. During the initial 6 hours of the 28th of the 10th service launch, those who purchased the Access Pass could not launch the game due to waiting queue. There was an unexpected amount of traffic which throttled our service. Currently, the issue has already been resolved by increasing the service capacity and improving the waiting queue mechanism for those who purchased the Access Pass. We apologise for any inconvenience caused. We hope you will enjoy Control Ultimate Edition Cloud version. Services started for Control Ultimate Edition Cloud version. That was on the 28th. So they had a service outage then as well, by the looks of it. So again, you've got this inherent problem with streaming, that if there's a service outage or anything like that, you can't play the game. And this wasn't an auspicious launch, and they say that it's been resolved. But my experience was that it hasn't been resolved. And well, I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you some footage from earlier on when I was going in to play the game. And this is what came up. The service is currently at capacity, so you've been placed in a queue. Thank you for waiting. And I was third in the queue, and then it came across and it started playing. It wasn't as quick as you saw there, because this is some footage, as I say, I've already recorded. And then once I was out of the queue, we went into the loading screen, and it wasn't too bad for there. And then it came up with all the usual gubbins that you see when a game launches. Now, given, with Stadia, they talk about, no waiting times and all the rest of it, all this marketing speak for streaming. Well, the reality here, certainly with Nintendo, and I've not had quite the same issues with the other streaming services, whether it be Stadia or GeForce Now or xCloud or PlayStation Now even, the speed at which they've loaded has been pretty good. But if you look here, we've got, I went into the options and I changed a few things. I inverted vertical aim and all the rest of it. So you've got the same options that you would have normally. So that was, okay. And I chose here to go with the better picture, the better image option, rather than the faster, frame rate or whatever, just because I wanted to show the best possible images that you could see, just to show you what the streaming on the Switch was capable of. And well, you'll see in a minute, it was okay-ish. And above and beyond the inherent problems with streaming, I think this was a worse streaming experience than I'd had with the other services. And I don't know whether it's because they're using a smaller provider for their back end, maybe they should do what Sony have done and go and speak to Microsoft and get a better back end. But yeah, I wasn't all that impressed. You can see here it's loading again. And so yeah, I waited in a queue, and then, this is going on and on and on. Okay, some of that was me in menus and stuff, but it did take a while. And then when you finally get into the game, and I don't know if you can hear you probably can't hear the woman talking in the background, but there's some talking going on in the background. And it loaded up, and it was okay. It wasn't too bad, but yeah, I wasn't particularly well. This. I mean, it looks okay, but you'll probably see here it jerks a bit, and certainly not up there with what you can expect from the PC. And I think the Xbox looked a lot better as well, and next gen's probably going to look better still. But yeah, she's walking into the basically she's walking into the building here, and this is what you get to see. And I'm just going to let this run, and we'll see. It's okay. Yeah, there you go. Did you see there was some jerking there? It's jerking a bit. It's not exactly smooth, and when you're actually playing it, it was a bit janky, and left a little bit to be desired. Excuse me if I'm a little bit distracted here, because I can actually hear her voice talking in my headphones, which is a bit it's a bit weird. Mind you, given that Control's a very weird game, it's probably quite fitting. But there's our brother. Oh, and there's the guy who I won't go into details in case you haven't played the game. Oh, and there's the janitor, the back of the janitor. There's his picture. Excuse me. Did you see it jerked about a bit there as well? Oh, and there was a big jerk there. And no, it wasn't me. It was on the image. I'm not the big jerk. And here we go. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice. One of the reasons I didn't do videos last week is I kept losing my voice. My boy was off as well, but so that caused me issues trying to do videos, because we went to see his grandparents for a bit as well. As you can see, that jerked there as well. So it is rather janky. Oh, there you go. Oh, again. Now, oh look, due to network congestion, the game settings have been changed. As you can see there, that was affected by network congestion. Not very good. Took a while to get in because I was in a queue because so many people. So they obviously haven't got the infrastructure in place. Certainly not yet. I found I'm not sure if you can tell here, but I found the controls a little bit janky as well. There was a couple of times. This wasn't too bad. I mean, this was okay, but I found that the controls were certainly not as smooth as I found them when I was playing this on the Xbox. And I have finished the main story on the Xbox, so I have got quite a lot of experience playing this game, so I know how it should feel at least. And you get all these things around the game like you do with a lot of games from Remedy. I liked all the stuff in Quantum Break. There was a time travel story that someone was writing, which was quite funny because they were taking the mickey out of themselves. And Quantum Break's a much underrated game. I think it's a much better game than people gave it credit for. But anyway, look, we're travelling on here, and we go into the office and stuff. I'm just trying to show you. The controls are a bit, not ideal. It's not as smooth. And you're not going to get this from watching the video, really. But here, I think at one point in the minute, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, but at one point in the minute, I'm going to go back up the stairs. And when I do, I think I miss my turn because I'm having trouble with the controls. And it keeps coming up with this plus minus open Nintendo shop because it's trying to get me to buy the game. I'm telling you now, I'm not going to be buying the game. Here you go, and I turn around here. Is this where I missed the stairs? No, I actually got it. Okay, so I got it this time. But I don't know if this gives you any idea of the quality of the stream. But as I said, waiting in line, and then it says it's adjusted the quality because of too many people on the servers. And then you've got all that other stuff about, you're buying a game that may disappear. Nintendo's track record isn't great. I have to say, the streaming on this is better than I experienced with Resident Evil when I tried to stream that via, Japan. But it's still not ideal. It's okay, but I would definitely not choose this over another way of playing the game. And I certainly wouldn't choose this streaming service over xCloud or Nvidia GeForce Now or Stadia. I haven't tried Luna from Amazon yet, so I can't speak on that. But this one's possibly the worst of them that I've experienced so far. And it's two playthroughs for about 10 minutes. And it's just my experience. So, take that with a pinch of salt because other people may have different experiences. But I've got a pretty decent internet connection here. And I did find this a bit janky. Not great. The other thing as well, and this is the thing about the Nintendo Switch. One of the great things about the Nintendo Switch is the fact that it's also portable. You can take it with you. And unlike with xCloud, where you use it on your phone has got a telephone connection. You can connect it to 4G, 5G if 5G is available in the area. And so you can play the games subject to, your data cap or whatever. I've got quite a lot of data on mine. So, I'm not too bad, but I still have to watch it. With a phone, you can do that. You can take it with you with that option. You take your phone with you, you connect a controller, and I can sit in the car while I'm waiting for my kid at drumming, and I can play Quantum Break, or I can play, or not Quantum Break. Is Quantum Break available through xCloud? I think it might be now actually, but I can play Forza Horizon 4 or whatever, Gears of War 4 or 5 or whatever. With the Switch, its main advantage, portability, is gone when you're streaming games, because as soon as you get in the back of a car, well, you haven't got an internet connection, have you? So you're losing out there. So that's another problem with it. But anyway, look, I'm going to stop this here because this pretty much stops now anyway. It goes on for another couple of minutes, I think. But that's all you get to see. You don't get to see any combat or anything like that. But I wasn't all that impressed, if I'm being honest. And with Nintendo, they have the option to do something like xCloud or PlayStation Now and have a massive back catalogue of games, put some newer games on there as well and do that as streaming. That would make it much more attractive to me. This single game, you pay for the game and then you have to stream it simply because the Switch hasn't got the power to actually have the game on as a cartridge or whatever, strikes me as being a bit half-assed. Now, you guys might disagree with me on that. You might think this is a great idea. And I do accept that this is a way of getting games onto the Switch that otherwise wouldn't work. But as it stands at the moment, it's not great. It's janky. There's all those problems that are inherent with streaming, which are worse on the Switch, in my experience. They've not got a great track record with their online service, their virtual console. And the advantages of being able to take it out and about with you are gone as soon as you start streaming games. So I don't know. I'm not convinced by this, and I certainly won't be buying Hitman 3 or Control on the Switch. Not as it stands anyway. Hopefully, maybe next year they'll come out with the Switch Pro or whatever they're going to call it, and it might have 4G, 5G on board. And that would solve that problem. But, that might get expensive as well. And this is Nintendo. Who knows what they're going to do. But anyway, look, that's what I think. As you can see here, the trial has ended. This is what I think. Might as well end it here because it's a good place to stop. And I'll finish up because my trial has ended. My trial's ended and I haven't even seen anything of the game really yet. So let me know what you think of this in the comments. Do you think this is a great idea? Do you think it's a terrible idea? Do you think it's okay? I think it's probably okay. But I don't like the idea of paying full price for a game that could disappear off the service at any moment if they decide they don't want it to be there anymore or they bring out a new console. So not great. Right, anyway, as I say, give us a thumbs up. like, subscribe, hit the bell, because that's the only way you'll ever know that I'm putting videos out. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one. Gonna get myself a cup of tea. Bye.